Welcome back to Sister Talk. Today we are discussing children and media, and I have two Anns on set today, and they are experts in this area. We have Anna Thuo, a consultant and a communications consultant and a part-time lecturer, and Ann David, who is a lecturer also in the communications, aspect. Before we went on a break, we were discussing the social cognitive effects of overuse of unregulated use of media among children and teenagers. And some of the things we looked at is the effects on concentration, the effects on, social interactions, being a civilized individual. And then we also looked at the fact that it affects the creativity of a child. A child can't be handy, I remember our time we used to build balls, You wrap many things, it becomes a ball, or you get an old tin and make a car.
Yes.
Those things are, and they use wires, you can use also a wire to connect and make a whole car. And it was a major thing. But I don't know if it's still there in the village, but here in town we are buying them.
Yes.
We are buying balloons attached
to a stick.
You don't even blow.
We are not even blowing it anymore. So I think let's look at the long term. The long-term effects, especially among the teenagers and the young adults, because some of the long-term effects are the things that they were facing or doing when they were these under 5 years, 6, 7 years. Now they are teenagers and young adults. What are the long-term effects of unregulated use of media?
So they are being seen even as we speak now. I guess the digital natives who grew up with the internet from the mid-2000s, who are now the teens right now, because they've grown up with this media or around them. And what I would say is we've seen the effects, especially of social media, on our young adults and adolescents as well, where as we were saying, they live on social media. So they are looking for, they keep updating their status every minute. I would say. And so they will keep going back to check, has this been liked? How many likes have I received? How many people have viewed my photo on Instagram and Snapchat and wherever else they are posting, or their videos on TikTok. And so you find a lot of it has to do with the immediate
gratification.
Yes, gratification, as we say. And so the impatience of not wanting to cultivate long-term friendships. A lot of it is likes. I'm your friend because you liked my image this many times. And so they are weighing their sociability aspects more on the virtual world than on the real world. And that has a lot to do with their mental state. We see a lot of, especially teenage girls, having mental issues to do with self-esteem. Because a lot of it has to do with the kind of superficial friendships that they have for the moment, I would say. And so you find the time to cultivate deeper friendships, like back in high school, we still have those girlfriends probably. But we find a lot of this is not happening because, again, as we say, if you're too much invested in the social media world, what time do you have to make other kinds of friendships and human relationships are messy. You don't just become a friend overnight. You have to keep cultivating that friendship. And so I think a lot of our teens are not doing that as much as we would want them to do. I also wanted to talk about cyberbullying, which is a big thing right now, and body shaming, again, online, with whichever photo you post, and some people don't like how you look, and so they will bully you online. And we've had cases of even teenage girls committing suicide because of what is going on in their virtual world. And so, as you say, these are kind of the long-term effects that have to do with your self-esteem, and that have to take time to be corrected with even counseling at some point. So, and I know Anne has a lot to say about the teens as well. Now that she has them in the house.
I would say one of the long-term effects is the building of unrealistic expectations about life. And that's why I mentioned something called a sense of entitlement, because as they grow up, I realize that kids graduate from the type of programming they prefer. For example, when my kids were really young, there's a cartoon that was called Teletubbies, and it used to really excite them. It was like, then after some time, they'd lose interest and move on to something that, even if you check the age bracket, is within their age bracket. And as they grew older, you realize that they may be into like a full movie. What's a storyline? What happened? Or there's a particular soap, and especially for the girls, even though I discovered also men watch soaps, depending on whether they have been inculcated by someone in the household. They do watch soaps. And then what the storyline of these shows is, many times, the underlying values that are taught within the soaps and within some of these programs. But on many cases, they are very subtle. There are some values that in subtle ways are communicated that are not acceptable, at least by Christian standards that I would say I hold, and anybody that holds Christian values. And in most of these soaps, you'd find the clandestine, the mpango wa kando in Kenya, we would say, always looks lovable, always looks all petite. And the wife, as depicted in the show, is not all that. So we come to real life, and just shida kidogo, somebody thinks, why not? It seems this is what works. Why? Not because that's the reality, because that is what they have been watching over the years. And if someone is not solid in their faith, honestly speaking, somebody will find themselves going in that direction. So very unrealistic expectations that have been built over the years. And maybe I can mention a second one, which she also talked about a bit, whereby relationships do not last. It's like the relationships are very plastic. People don't keep relationships for long. There's a lot of superficiality. It's all about, so what do you do with yourself? What car are you driving? Where do you live? I don't want to deal with someone who is rising from God knows when they will arrive where they are going. Not me. I'm just saying.
God knows their future. I don't want to know.
Exactly. So that's what we are dealing with today. So if you tell someone you can actually rise from nothing and become something, it is how long? But then when you check the reality, those that are there today, they have a story. So I think now we need to teach our children, let's deal with more of the reality. It is possible to be down there, but you can rise up.
Yeah, could it be possible then, Anne, because I know you're also a pastor, the reason why many young girls, as you mentioned, they want these men that are already established.
Let me say something. I had a conversation, and this was actually some girls overheard saying, if the guy doesn't come spinning,
oh really?
And if he doesn't have this size of a wallet, we have nothing to discuss. So, and I'm not blaming the girls out there, but I'm just thinking, really, because this same car would be the same car that will bring you tears, because it may carry some people that will break your heart. So it's not about him coming spinning. He could come walking with dusty shoes, but if you could only see the future, as long as he has a vision and he has God, for me,
So the young girls there, the life you are living, you see on social media, people are not showing their
reality,
real life. They're showing how they're in a beach, how they're spinning a Ferrari, you know, the celebrities, how their bodies are, you know, like
all nice.
They are well sculpted and all that. So when we here in Kenya are looking at people in America, we think that is actually real. And that's why photos these days are full of filters. Like the Anne I see on the photo and the reality.
Two different things.
Very different.
Two different things.
Yes, and that's the tragedy right there of the filtered lives that people live on social media, as you say, because you know, if you think of the time you woke up, I woke up at 4:30, all the things you've done until this hour, you've done many things, but you'll only choose maybe to take this photo on the set and post it. Yet you have gone through so many other things and places before we even got here, but you only choose a little snippet of your life to show. Yet our girls, especially the young girls, don't know what's behind all that, and that people only show a facade of their lives, but there's a lot of tears and sweat and blood behind all that. Yet they want to arrive as quickly as possible, right now, right here. And that's what we are saying in terms of even the values that we are transmitting to our children need to be the realistic stuff of life, including the ones we have in our homes, where they think that this is the life they will start living. Yet they don't know their parents started somewhere, and that's why we are able even to give you this kind of life that you're living now. And so that realistic talk needs to really begin at home. As we are saying, let's not wait for those filtered images on Instagram to now bring the tears to our girls and other grief to the family, when we could have already talked the real stuff of life, not sugarcoating. Yes.
So we need to learn endurance, patience, perseverance, persistence, you know, hitting that place until you break through. And media, social media will not teach you that. I know this is media right now. At least we are communicating
through it, the positive.
You're communicating the positive thing, because if you allow your child to live on cartoons, to live on soap operas, to live on, what do you call this, reality TV, reality shows, it's going to mislead them to build a fantasy kind of world, which is not possible. In Kenya, you need money. Fuel has gone up.
Exactly.
Vitu kwa ground ni different. Probably before we talk about how can a parent help regulate, because we've talked about talking to them the reality. Would you say, Anne, that some of the social vices that we are facing right now, you know, addictions, homosexuality, lesbianism, all those things, they have a root somewhere? You know, someone right now just told me that the Superman series that's about to come out is the Superman in that series is a bisexual. So it's no longer being hidden. Let's you know, let's face these guys the way it is.
I think definitely, because personally I grew up in the generation of you remember Great Wall?
The one with the
that was my childhood kidogo, if I may say that. So KBC was, it was the only station in the country, and later on other, channels followed. So in terms of having programs that went past someone hugging another were almost like very rare. So,
and even the ones that were there, the bold and the beautiful.
It was almost like, So it was almost like at 18, you are really a morally upright person in terms of if we are to go by the standards of the media. So the media would not be blamed for corrupting your mind. But today, with or without a TV, the gadget is enough to mess up a child's future, mess up even an adult's future, because we've had adults that are addicted also to pornography, because we never had during the days of our grandmothers a lady is hitting on another lady during the days of our grandmother. So that means there are values that were carried through the airwaves from the Western nations to our continent. And someone said, if you want to destroy a people, begin by changing their value system. Go down to the root. So what is the value system? What we are seeing today, that in every soap opera today, And if you want to know, just try to follow one. There will always be this weird guy that if you didn't know what they're trying to pass across, they're actually telling you this person is gay.
Yeah, and
but
it's
he
okay.
has mannerisms of a woman, but it's a man. So truly speaking, we cannot exonerate the media from blame. And that is why, for me, it would be more important for any parent to teach their children as opposed to kuazimia. Like, I'll not buy your phone. I will switch off the channels. I will use the V-chip to switch off any channel that I deem inappropriate. What about the day you're not around? What if you travel?
Yeah.
What happens then? So that's what I would say. Definitely, the media has a big part to play. Yeah.
So some of the, the marketing of the people promoting or the campaigners of LGBTQ right now are no longer hiding. It's out there.
Yeah.
And if you are not going to see it on YouTube, you'll find it in a movie, you'll find it in animation. They are in cartoons these days.
Yeah.
So if a parent
children's cartoons.
Children's cartoons. And if parents are not aware or keen on what's happening, then these things are being passed.
Yeah.
And over time it develops and it becomes a social a value that a child inculcates, which is on the wrong. So now let's talk about how then should parents, the society, the policymakers help to regulate, because we've said switching off or taking away the phone is not going to sort it out. Of course, it can be used as a way of punishment or discipline for a while, but it cannot be long term.
Yeah. So I could start there and say just where we are coming from, that it's global media right now. There's no local media really, because a lot of the content is either being streamed. Before, as Anne is saying, it was TV at 4 p.m. KBC, and that's when we started until 10 p.m. and that midnight, and that was it. But now you can stream content 24 hours. Or everywhere on all gadgets. And so, as you say, we cannot be switching off things around us and what have you. But for me, it's to start at our circle of influence, which is the family, where we have more control over a neighbor's house or school or any other place. So I'm urging parents like ourselves to be really keen and vigilant on what is in their own homes. We are the people who buy the devices. We are the people who buy the TVs, the phones. Children don't have their own money to do that, really, unless we give them the money. We are the ones who buy the data plans, the fiber at home, or whatever else we use. So we are the people with the power, if I would say so. And we are the ones to really take up that initiative, not bury our heads in the sand and throw our hands in the air and be resigned of the fate, but really to take up our mantle as parents and parent. And so some of the practical things, a few of them I would say, is one is to really know what kind of media do I have in my home. If I say there's Netflix, for example, which is a streaming service, or any one of those, do I know the age limits on the shows that the children are watching? Or I've left it open where they can watch 18 plus, and do I have I gone into the parental control? Because all these platforms have that. Have I seen what is appropriate? If I'm not sure, do I watch the shows before the children watch, and I'm able to have judgment on what the children are watching? Other things, especially online, there's a lot of filter software that we can invest in to actually create kind of firewalls or ways of limiting children into getting into websites and other places where they can find very not very useful content. And I could talk of the Google Family Link. If you have the Chrome on your phone, you can be able to access that for free and use it to even put limits on how many hours the children can have on the phone. When that time comes, it just shuts it automatically. And you can even go back because you can download an app on your phone and check what they have been doing. And you can call them for a small meeting and tell them, I'm going to shut off this thing if you don't behave. So we need to really be keen because we are modern age parents. We are not like our moms. We actually need to be ahead of our kids. You know, they are more media savvy than us, but we need to be a bit more ahead of them and be able to really be the ones to navigate and hold their hands in some of these things. And then family media habits as well. Do we have the screen time limits, as I'm saying? Do we leave kids watching programs for 4 hours, 5 hours? Other things like a balance between a lot of media use and other practical things we can do, like playing board games, or going outdoors to do sports, or going to Karura for a picnic. You know, how do we balance a lot of online media stuff vis-a-vis the more practical outdoor, or more of what I said, the bonding, the learning to get along with each other. So we really need to balance the family media habits, and other more, I would say, productive ways of getting the children.
Probably your perspective, I would ask, how long do you think a parent should give their child to be on media? You know, in a continuous... Yeah, how long would you say? 30, 1 hour, 3 hours?
So I actually think an hour should be enough, especially for the age that I'm more into, which is, I said, the toddlers to... In fact, for toddlers, by the way, the 0, okay, let's say 18 months to say 3-4 years, in fact, they're not supposed to be on screens for long because of the eyes, the cognitive, the mental, and all that. And so even those ones, and even when they are on screens, you need to be with them because you need to mediate what they are watching and kind of explain, because some things they don't even understand. But let's say from 5 years all the way, say, to 11, maybe the middle age, I would say 1 hour to 2 hours max is enough.
That's continuous or divided into different times?
It could be continuous because sometimes with media, they are very excited, even time doesn't fit. My daughters come and ask me, you mean the 1 hour is gone? Because you know, it's something that really engages them and it goes very quickly. So I would say at most 2 hours in a day should be enough, because we've seen research that says kids are on media for even up to 7 hours or 8 hours. So that's a lot of media consumption, by the way. So I think and then you balance that with chores. Tell them, for you to earn this time on media, you must have done all these other things. It's not like a privilege. It's something that they actually need to know, that for me to earn my media time, then I have also done these other things that I'm required to do. In fact, we keep joking with fellow moms that you should see them around the house making sure you know they've done everything to earn their screen time. So I think that's what we need to do, because as Anne says, they will grow up with the entitlement that it's a must I have my tablet, it's a must I have my phone. But these things, some of us saw them when we were in university, and I keep telling them the same. So it's us, by the way, to cultivate those kinds of ideas in the children, that these things are not a privilege. They are things that help us to know what we need to know, but it's not like air or oxygen or food. So we need to do that.
Wow. What are your perspectives on regulation?
First of all, I will introduce an aspect that maybe most parents have struggled with, because during COVID, there's a parent that took away a phone from the daughter, and the daughter committed suicide because of that. When I saw that story on air, I just tried to put myself in the shoes of that mother, because she was doing the best she knew how to. Because whatever she found the daughter doing with that phone made her think that the best thing I can do is to take away this phone. So there must have been a deeper issue going on in the life of this girl, whereby taking away the phone was not the solution. She took away her life, And that ended it all. So I'm just imagining as the mother held that phone, 1,001 questions were going on in her mind that, what if I'd not taken the phone? What if I'd what is it called? Like I'd brought up a discussion to find out, why were you watching maybe what you're watching? Why haven't you done your homework? Like build a conversation. So for me, I'm looking at it more on the proactive because of what I saw and what I've been seeing lately. Why is it that the moment children are no longer in school, they think of, let me use the phone. There are so many pregnancies. The boys become like armed robbers in school. Kujifungilia mapanga huko. And we've been seeing this. So I think we need to go back to a place of conversation with our children, so that if the moment your child changes kidogo, there's something wrong, you can sit them down and ask them, what is the problem? And if it is their phone, they don't become so defensive when you walk around, because it means there's something they are doing with their phone that they're not supposed to be doing. So I think I will look at it more like, what is it we can do outside the particular medium that can help us, so that even if the child is left with that tab, she will not go to sites that are not, they shouldn't be watching. So I think there's been a gap in the society today of parenting. And that is why someone made a joke and said, the moment these long holidays come, parents are horrified. They're like, what do we do with our children? So we need to really ask ourselves, where did we lose it? And take the steps towards regaining our place as parents. Talk with each other. Be family, not strangers that just share a table together. And one last one, there's a joke we make in our household talking about visit to grandma. So there's this emoji, not an emoji, it was an image that was going around one Christmas where the whole family, an Asian family apparently, had gone to visit grandma. And Asian families are really big. They are usually large in numbers. And everybody was on their gadget, and grandma was seated there alone. Nobody was talking to each other. And I felt it must have been a member of the family who took the photo. They had all gone to visit grandma, but nobody was talking to grandma. And grandma was seated there all alone, yet they had gone to visit, but everybody's on their gadget. So let's go back to the place of
conversation
and talking.
Wow. So parents need to be deliberate in parenting. You can no longer say, oh, my children are too fast for me. It's up to you to regulate. And I think I liked the fact that we need to go back to conversing with the children. I'm going to give you 5 seconds, Anna, to just give your parting shot looking at that camera.
So mine is, we always say that the eyes are the windows to the soul. And media being one of the, we said, socializing agents that brings a lot of imagery to the children, and they consume that, and that goes into their soul through the eyes. And so that again comes out. So we need to be more deliberate of what children are feeding on, because it really will come out in one way or another. And so we need to be more keen on, yes, they will consume, because we can't run away from that, but what is it that they are consuming, and how much of that are they consuming? And so for me, it's really bringing up the adults, not children anymore, but the people that will be adults very soon. And so what kind of adults are we bringing up?
5 seconds.
The word of God definitely has a big role to play. The Bible says, train up a child. Training takes time. Training is systematic. And training is not sending your children to Sunday school and hoping that the Sunday school teachers will do what you're supposed to do. So as parents, we should train our children. And when we train them in the ways of the Lord, a point will come where you cannot decide for them what they ought to do in terms of age. So if they veer in one way or another, a parent should not kill themselves with blame. But the training that they gave that child will be like a constant reminder that what you're doing is not right. So let us train our children in the ways of the Lord. Let us train them and not get tired. And that will be their guiding principle in life.
Wow. That's powerful. So as we said when we started, that we are not running away from media. It's there to stay. In fact, it's becoming better and better as time goes by. But remember, as Anna said, that the eyes are the windows to the soul. So whatever your child feeds on, it's going to come out in the near future. And as Anna has said, remember the word of God. Train your child. Train your child. What do you want your child to become 30 years from now, 50 years from now? That's what we are looking at. I've been your host on Sister Talk today, Linda Talam. See you again next week. Bye-bye.